Welcome back. Today we've arrived at the fourth key to learning a language. Do a little every day, relaxed and stress-free. Remember, you can listen to this video several times to help your brain truly absorb the language. To start off, I'm going to remind you of the first three rules. The first was, listen to a lot of English content. The second was, repetition, repetition, repetition. The third key reminded us of the importance of using our dead time. Today, I'm suggesting that you relax and start learning without any stress, which is a very important rule when we are learning a new language. This fourth rule is very important. I've actually been an English coach in Germany for the last 15 years, and I can't tell you how many students I've helped learn to speak English simply by giving them a relaxed atmosphere where they don't worry about being judged. A lot of the German adult students I've worked with had really great comprehension and honestly, quite a high level of speaking ability, but they were terrified to speak because through their experience in a traditional school, they overthought about the grammar and wanted to make sure everything was 100% correct. I think this illustrates a common obstacle for many language learners. You don't want to talk because you will make a mistake and you will look stupid. When it comes time to speak, these students feel stressed because speaking English doesn't come naturally. But if you don't manage these emotions, you'll never be able to speak English as well as someone who can. Especially in Germany, a lot of this comes from wanting to get good grades on the English exam, which requires exactly these ineffective and, quite honestly, unpleasurable tasks like memorizing vocabulary lists and grammar rules. In fact, if our brains are not ready for a grammar rule, exactly because we haven't exposed our brains to enough real, authentic English content, there is no way to force our brains to truly understand it. I've actually made a video on this idea, and if you're interested, you can click on this link now or the one I've posted in the description below. In any case, this overemphasis on vocabulary lists and grammar, instead of focusing on subjects we like and on just understanding content that is meaningful to us, explains how, in large part, traditional foreign language lessons in school have completely failed their students. I've definitely noticed the younger generation in Germany get much better at English, and I'm convinced this is because they started implementing these 7 keys to learning languages I'm explaining all on their own. I know that a lot of these teenagers started watching TikTok during the COVID pandemic, also in English, which means they were doing exactly what I'm suggesting, listening to a lot of English content on subjects that they were interested in. It's nice to see things starting to change, but I still think this way of learning a language remains somewhat of a secret, or at least is viewed as something radical or just for social media. I wish I had known this 15 years ago when I started learning German, because it truly is a great joy to learn just not a new language, but all sorts of interesting content, and to truly make a language a part of yourself. You never know where the journey will take you. And I believe there are still a lot of people who don't know of this comprehensible input method, or who doubt that it works. I know for a lot of Germans, their mindset is, it's not truly learning unless it is difficult and miserable. Honestly, most of the English content I see on YouTube, and certainly most of the podcasts, are all centered around this traditional method of learning, which is why I decided to provide content on YouTube. It's important to note, however, that these students still make a few small errors when speaking. So relax and don't stress when learning English. Because the thing is, even native English speakers make plenty of mistakes when speaking. I certainly do. The difference is, I usually know right away when I make an error and quickly correct myself. all of which illustrates the difficulty in trying to formulate grammatically perfect sentences while spontaneously trying to express ourselves in a language. And which is why we shouldn't stress when we make a few errors when speaking a foreign language. Obviously, we want our main message to be clearly understood, but this is usually less of a problem than the perfectionism of some students. The point I hope you see is that making mistakes is just part of the process, and there is no reason to stress about it. In fact, you might be amazed at how much a native English speaker will understand of what you're saying, even if you feel like you're not making any sense. I think that is important to understand. Anything that can be understood will be understood by a native speaker. I'll give you another example. Imagine you're playing guitar and you just learn a new song. Would you expect that you play it perfectly the first time? Would you get angry at yourself if you didn't hit every note perfectly the first try? I hope the answer is no. Obviously, the more songs you know on the guitar, the easier certain patterns are, and the quicker you will learn the next song. But expecting perfection right away is just not possible. Remember the other important part of today's fourth rule: do a little every day. It's important to just do a little every day, relaxed, and viewing the mistakes as something funny and nothing to get so worried about. As long as you do a little every day and keep exposing yourself to plenty of authentic English content, the mistakes will go away in time. The sooner you understand that learning English is a long journey, a very enjoyable and rewarding but long journey, the more you can relax and do a little every day. I know, we want to achieve and have things as quickly as possible. Some things in life can be achieved very quickly, but for better or worse, learning a language is not one of them. Therefore, instead of burning out quickly after doing a lot for a short period, I recommend doing just a little every day, maybe even set a baseline of 30 minutes. This is what I've done with French and now Italian, and this is what every polyglot that I know of does, a little every day. This is truly the game changer, the difference between adding English to your life or never speaking it again. Consistency. If you listen to a little English every day, selecting content that interests you and where you understand around 70% of what is said, you will be amazed at how much you will improve after just a few months. So relax, don't stress, and listen to a little English every day. Don't exaggerate or do too much, but don't stop doing a little every day either. Consistency is the difference between you and a really high level of English. And the best part is, if you choose content that is interesting to you, the time will fly by and you will just want to keep listening even more because you will have seen the results. Every time I start a project with a ton of energy, where I want to finish something big in a short amount of time, the same thing happens. After an initial burst of energy, I quickly get burned out and don't want to continue anymore, especially if I don't see results right away. Honestly, it's what I'm struggling with starting this YouTube channel. I'm only human, and so I check to see how many people watched my videos or how many people liked it or subscribed. Guys, these numbers are terrible. I've only just started. So I'm applying the same thing here that I did to learn languages. Just do a sustainable amount, but consistently. In regards to you learning English, I beg you to start with the right mindset. Understand that it will be a long journey, but one where you don't need to stress. And that if you do just a little, but every day, you will come very far. And you will enjoy the journey all along the path. Truly, if you follow this, and if you implement the other keys I've been talking about, you can't help but succeed. Obviously, how quickly you will succeed depends on a number of factors like how many languages you already speak, your mother tongue, what your current level in the language is, how motivated you are, how much available time you have, etc. Some might only need 3 months to start speaking fluently, others 6, and still others might need a year or even more. Stop worrying about making mistakes. Choose content that interests you and that you will want to hear more than once. This will make it easier to listen to things every day, especially if you like the voice of the person who's talking or even their personality. Seriously, it will help. If the content seems too difficult at first, relax and find the subtitles. Or if it's one of my videos, find the transcript. Then stop the video as much as you need and make sure you understand what you missed. Then, when you repeat the video another day, you will notice how much more you understand. Just keep calm, remain positive, and you will see the progress. Be proud of the level you already achieved and accept the challenges of improving your English level with patience and enthusiasm. To close, I would like to recap the 4 rules we've talked about so far. First, listen to a lot of English content. Second, repetition, repetition, repetition. Third, create time to learn English by using your dead time. And we've just concluded the 4th, which is do a little every day, stress-free. And by the way, another really easy way to continue learning English is through my podcast, English Naturally. The podcast is a bit more relaxed and informal than these videos. I talk about language learning, work, culture, and everyday topics using clear but natural English. Because it's audio only, it's perfect for listening while driving, walking, or doing things around the house. If you enjoy this kind of content and want more listening practice without any extra effort, you can search for English Naturally wherever you listen to podcasts. I'll also put the link in the description. If these videos are helpful for you, you can support this channel by liking the video or subscribing. It really helps other learners find this content. And if you feel like it, leave a comment. I read them, and it helps me know what kind of content is most useful for you. Before you move on, remember, listen to English you understand, listen to it more than once, and do a little every day, relaxed and without stress. If this video is helpful, listen to it again another day. Repetition is part of the learning. And when you're ready, I'll see you in the next video where we'll look at the next key to learning English.